from inside Memorial Stadium. This is the Huskers Radio Network podcast. All Huskers, all the time. Here's your host, Jessica Coody.
Welcome back into another episode of the Huskers Radio Network podcast. I'm Jessica Coody, and we welcome in Miss Sweep herself, Jenna Rogers, sweeping the Big Ten title for the high jump, both indoor and outdoor this season, and you're headed to nationals.
Yes.
Man, what a season you've had this year, and your first year competing outdoor. How has it been this spring?
I'm super grateful. I've had a lot of success this season that I didn't think I would really have after being injured. So yeah, I'm grateful to even be on the track alone, and then to have a good season on top of that feels really good.
You're the best high jumper in the Big Ten, but you didn't expect that going into the season?
No, not really. I mean, I had such a bad freshman year where I was just injured and I wasn't jumping well at all, and it was just a struggle. So yeah, I was a little down on myself, but I did work really hard. So I think I deserve it for sure. But yeah, it's been a struggle.
Yeah, and also All-American in indoor back before you started the outdoor season, and your first time competing in outdoor, mentioned that, but once you win the indoor, take me back to the indoor first and break that down for me and winning that title.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously that was my first Big Tens, and I'm like shaking because I'm like the little freshman that no one knows about. And yeah, I ended up doing pretty well. I jumped clean, so I didn't miss a bar that day. And I ended up just stopping after I had won because, you know, I was happy with the win for sure. But yeah, I jumped 5'11" and a half to win it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then once you win that, did that kind of fuel you, hey, I got to go defend my title in the outdoor?
Oh, absolutely. You get a lot of pressure now. Once you win it once, you got to do it a couple other times. So yeah, I felt like I needed to win outdoor, and you know, I competed and I did well, thank God. But yeah.
What was it like having the target on your back when you go in kind of as the unknown, and then now everybody's kind of chasing you? What was that like?
To be honest, I'm used to it because my freshman year of high school, I won New Balance Nationals. So to win that, you know, in your first season in high school, you kind of have a target on your back for the rest of your high school career. So, you know, I've learned some techniques to kind of calm myself and, you know, not feel that pressure as much. So coming into college, I was pretty prepared based on that, just, you know, the pressure that does come with it. Yeah.
So Coach Pepin was talking last week about how crazy this has been for you guys as a team to be able to practice outdoors in the elements because, well, number one, if you see outside of our doors, you can see the new facility that's being built over the old track. But then with the weather as well this spring has been so crazy. So how have you guys managed that? And you personally still being the best in the Big Ten, but yet it's been such a crazy practice schedule.
Yeah. So obviously they're building our new track, which is so nice. I like it. But yeah, there's been some struggles with that. They didn't put down grass for a while, so there was sand everywhere. We couldn't practice out there. And then, of course, weather. It's difficult when it's super windy even to jump outside. So we've been indoors, but we have a great indoor facility. So I'm not complaining at all because, you know, we were able to practice still.
So when you're running, though, and you're going outdoors and you haven't practiced much outdoors, and this is your first time competing, I mean, what's that mindset like when, hey, I mean, you could have crazy winds, you have these elements that you're not necessarily dealing with indoors?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a change, but I think a lot of us come in prepared. We know that could happen. We know the elements could happen for sure. And, you know, we come in prepared and we're not too fazed by that, I don't think.
That's track for you, right?
Yes, that is track, yep.
So I'm curious, you know, to kind of get your backstory a little bit, but when you started even just high jumping, how'd you get into just high jumping? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always like to ask that question about, you know, certain sports.
Right.
Why you fell in love with it.
And high jump's pretty random, I feel like. It's not like something you just get introduced to one day, but yeah, I thought I was fast, and it turns out I'm really not at all. But I tried out for like our recreation track team, and one of the coaches was like, hey, you're tall. Why don't you try high jump? And I was pretty good my first season, and I stuck with it. And then also, this is wild, but in recreation track, I had an Olympic high jump coach who happened to volunteer for our little town, wanted to volunteer in high jump, and I was his only athlete, and he took me to the next level for sure.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect for you.
Yeah, it's luck.
So kind of take us through for those of us, because I mean, before we started recording, I was asking you about it, and then for listeners that might not be so familiar, but just what's the process like of, it's so many little details, and it's mental, and it's one little thing could make or break how, if you win a Big Ten title or not. So kind of take us through the process of, getting to that level.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years and I feel like I know nothing. So if that doesn't tell you a lot about the sport, I mean, like there's so much that goes into it and there's so much that I still have to learn, which I think makes it super exciting. Like I still have room for improvement. And that's in every track event. It's so technical and there's so many little things you need to learn. And I think 10 years from now, I still won't know much about the event, even, 20 years into it.
So what do you love about it? What do you love about high jump?
I love that it's individual. I mean, everything's on me, and that can be tough sometimes with pressure and, performing well. But also, if I do well, it's on me, and if I do poorly, it's on me. So I love individual sports. I think they're so fun.
So not just you, but how about Mason Connor also sweeping for the men? So Nebraska sweeps the men's and women's high jump, both indoor and outdoor this year. How much pride do you guys take in that? Watching him, I mean, I think he competed before you, right?
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. This is a little inside scoop, but I'm dating his brother, so we're super close.
Okay.
Me and Mason, but yeah. So seeing him succeed is awesome, and I'm close to his family. So yeah, we have a good time when we both succeed for sure. Do
you watch him? And we had your coach on a couple weeks ago too, and he was talking about just it's a neat relationship. But I mean, does it fuel you kind of watching him go, because he had dramatics, right, to win his, and then you see him win, and then hey, let me match that, and also represent Nebraska on top of the podium.
Yeah, seeing someone else succeed is awesome. I mean, we also have another girl going to nationals for the high jump, Riley Maston, who's my roommate and best friend. But even being surrounded by literally the best high jumpers in the country, that'll motivate you alone. We're the #2 high jump squad in the nation, so we have a pretty good squad, I think.
I think so. That's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Did that play into you wanting to come to Nebraska? Take me through your recruiting process and how you wound up here.
Yeah.
Because from New Jersey.
Right, I'm from New Jersey. I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea where Nebraska was, and I feel like that's such a naive thing to say. But my mom was from the Midwest, and she knew I was gonna love it. People are way nicer here for sure, and she knew I was gonna like that. And of course, she was right. I'll give credit where credit's due. And I took a visit, and I absolutely loved it. And on top of that, Dusty Jonas, I 100% guarantee is the best high jump coach in the nation. So it was a no-brainer for me.
So what did you love about it when you came on campus the first time? If you hadn't been here, you had no clue about Nebraska, what was it that I love it here? Yeah,
Nebraska has a culture, and I think anyone who comes here knows that. I mean, with football, the fans are nuts. I mean, to have people at track meets, we rarely see that. It's usually parents, but there are legitimate Husker fans that just come to track meets. It's a culture that you really don't see at other schools, and I took a bunch of visits, and it was never like that. But here, you feel like family, you feel like you're really being rooted on, and I thought that was really important.
And you played volleyball all throughout high school, too. So how much have you liked that, being at arguably the best volleyball program in the country, too? Yeah,
absolutely. They took me on to a volleyball game on my visit, and I was like, dang, these girls are good. But yeah, watching them succeed is so awesome. They are, the best program in the country, I would argue, for sure. So it's exciting to see that, yeah.
So, you think about volleyball, and a lot of those girls can jump out of the gym. Did that play into you being the high jumper that you are, playing volleyball?
Yeah, absolutely. I think basketball helps too. I mean, just doing layups, jumping, dunking, stuff like that. But volleyball, for sure, it helps with like plyometrics, which is just, basically jumping technique and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it helped, and it led me right into the indoor track season in high school. So yeah.
You're saying you can dunk a basketball?
I cannot. I wish. I can touch rim, but that's it.
You're an advocate of, we've had this debate on Sports Nightly several times about, not specializing in just one sport. You're an advocate, obviously, it sounds like, for being a multi-sport athlete.
Oh, absolutely. Not just for cross training, but sports are crazy. The opportunities you get through sports, I advocate it absolutely for everyone. I think every kid should be in sports. But yeah, sports are great. I mean, I'm so grateful that I was introduced to that as a young age. My whole family plays sports. But yeah, then again, on top of that, cross-training between sports can help with one specific one. So absolutely, if you can do multiple, I say you do it.
So, one of the things I also wanted to talk to you about, there's a really awesome In Our Voice piece that came out on you a couple weeks ago, and it talks about, your desire and your heart for wanting to volunteer and give back, and you'd mentioned it kind of started with your cousins. So can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, so my major is communicative sciences and disorders, so I want to be a speech pathologist when I get older, but my two cousins, they are on the autism spectrum, and they're literally my most favorite people in the world. And I think people on the spectrum or anyone with any disability are just really special people. They're so genuine, and I know I want to work with people like that in the future, so that's why I kind of picked being a speech pathologist. But back in New Jersey, I do a program for sports. My uncle actually runs it, and basically, yeah, it's just sports for people with special needs, and I just kind of want to bring something here to Nebraska, so I've talked with, the people in the offices to see what we can do, and I think we're going to start a program here.
So I think that's one thing, we learn about Nebraska student athletes too. I mean, obviously, you talk about competing, but then there's the academics, but then also the life skills portion of that. And that played into you wanting to come here, right? Because you were such a big volunteer person before when you were in high school. I think you started in 6th grade?
Yeah.
How much did that play into seeing all of the volunteer opportunities and the importance of that here at Nebraska?
Yeah, so when you're on your visit, they show you everything basically, and again, I've been to other schools, and there's nothing like what Nebraska has. We have a person for everything. If you want to do anything, we have a person here that can help you with that, and obviously that played into my decision. If, I wanted to do volunteer work, and I knew here there were people that could help me with that, and that's been nothing but the truth. Yeah.
So tell us about some of the things you've dove into here.
Yeah, so I did one thing here, I forget what the name was but we were in the football field and we had just a bunch of people with disabilities come and play with people from all sports. So that was super fun. We did that. Then there's other things like FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So yeah, there's so many organizations, I can't even think of names right now, but if you wanted to do literally anything you could, because Nebraska Athletics supports that above all things, really.
I can just tell you're just such a positive light when you walked into the room, and I'm gotta imagine that kind of comes back from that volunteer work and that service heart. Do you feel like that has shaped you and molded you into the person that you are? Yeah,
I'll actually get back into the special needs kids. To see them smile in their situation, how does that not drive you to be a positive person, is what I'm thinking. For them to be in that situation and almost be unfazed by it, to be so special and genuine and have an impact on others, we have no excuse not to be, So yeah, I think definitely from volunteering and seeing that perspective on life, it gives me a different perspective for sure.
Does it also help you on the track too? I mean, just knowing, there are bigger things in life, and it doesn't matter what you do. Those kids that you've impacted love you even if you wouldn't have hit a single jump.
Yeah, absolutely. Dusty Jonas also emphasizes that when we have a bad day, there are worse things in this world than missing a bar, and he gives us that perspective for sure. It definitely helps. It gives you an idea of that things are bigger than sports, really. But yeah.
So, and I know you're a big advocate for people getting involved however they can. Why is that important? Why is it important for people, especially, for you and your conviction for the special needs community?
Yeah. As athletes, we're given a platform, and I think 100% you should use it. Even on social media, we have a platform. People follow us because we do sports. So if we have that opportunity, that we're ahead on the game to be able to volunteer. So I think absolutely if you're an athlete, or even if you're not, people really look up to you. And I think you take that opportunity to go ahead and give back to your community.
So, and again, if you haven't read the article, go read it. But I did want to give, our listeners here a chance to hear the story that you told about the kid playing basketball and how that was a big moment for you at that time.
Talk about perspective. So, we were playing basketball, again, at this program I do in New Jersey, and he was kind of having a tough time. So he needed a break. So he took his time and he went to the side, and I kind of sat next to him, and he was like, or his dad came over and was like, ask him math questions. I was like, absolutely, let's do it, 4 + 4. And they all laughed at me because, I was silly. No, I needed to ask him 376 times 42, and he would know the answer. So, outside of basketball, this kid had a gift. And if you don't sit down with these people and volunteer, you would never know that. But, obviously I volunteered a lot, and I get to know these kids, and they have gifts, 100%. And so that's another thing. I absolutely stress volunteering because you'll understand how gifted these people are.
When you walk away from, a day spent with the Special Angels, what do you take away from that?
Oh, gosh. You get a good feeling in your heart, and it's really not from you volunteering. It's so mutual. They make your day and we make theirs. So there's really nothing better. You just feel so good walking out of that.
So you had talked about wanting to maybe potentially try to find a way to start a program here. What does that look like? What is your vision if you could create anything with no limitations?
Yeah. So what we talked about is doing multiple sports, and obviously I'm just in track and field, but back in New Jersey we did soccer, we did football, we did basketball. So we're going to start small. We're going to start with track, but eventually I'm looking to expand into different sports, and anyone with special needs or disabilities are welcome, and we'll have some Husker athletes there, and obviously they'll help. One-on-one is hopefully what I'm trying to do, one Husker athlete to one athlete that comes and participates, and we'll just walk through different sports and do drills and group activities, and I think it'll be super fun.
That's amazing. Do you have a target date, or are you still working all the details out?
Yeah, we were initially going to do the spring, but it didn't work out just with COVID and stuff, so we're going to plan more in the fall, but we don't have a date yet.
Okay, so but if somebody's listening and knows somebody that maybe wants to get involved with that, how do they contact you on social media? Give us all that information.
Yeah, you can absolutely contact me on social media, but also Stacy in Life Skills. She will help for sure. Her email should be somewhere on husker.com, and she can definitely give you more information. And of course, my social medias, I'll answer whoever. Yeah.
We'll drop that information in the description, but your Twitter handle or social media handle, where's that? Tell people where to find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I believe my Twitter is like Jenna Rogers 77, and my Instagram is like Jenna Rogers _7 or something like that. So those
I think
two.
You're pretty easy to find. I stalked you a little bit before you got here, so just search Jenna Rogers.
Jenna Rogers, and hopefully that'll pop up.
Well, that's very cool, and I can't wait to continue to follow that. But you're just a freshman, competing and doing all these big things. So circling back to, hey, you got a big meet coming up at Nationals. What's the goal for you?
Yeah, so obviously I got All-American indoor, so I'm hoping for the same thing outdoor. But I feel like Dusty's preparing us well. We're training hard. We're, prepared mentally to go into it, and I think it'll go well for sure. And it'll be fun. Going to Oregon to jump is a privilege. I'm excited.
Your first time, right?
Yes, it is.
So what's your approach going to be, being that this is your first go at it?
I have nothing to lose, really. I mean, right now I'm ranked 7th, and 8 get All-American. So, I'm in the position to get All-American, so I hope so. But I'm going to come in relaxed. I really have nothing to lose, and I'm just going to do what I love to do, and that's high jumping.
Do you have any pre-meet rituals or things that you have to do to hype you up a little bit?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I like to pray. I'm big on my faith, so that's number one. I don't know. I used to eat a hard-boiled egg. I tell people that before every meet, which is super random. But yeah, I think that's the only 2 things that I really do.
So I know you probably take it one thing at a time, but also looking forward, you're hopefully shooting for the next Olympics. You're working towards that as well. What's that process look like?
I'm keeping the dream alive. That's been a dream since I've started high jumping, and I think every day I get a little bit closer. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm keeping the dream alive for sure.
And then just, all these things that you're wanting to do, how much has coming to Nebraska paid off that decision to want to become a better high jumper, to also want to make an impact in the community? How much has all that kind of paid off for you, I guess, the decision to be a Husker?
Yeah, I left home, and that was difficult for me. I don't see my family often, but here in Nebraska, I feel very welcome, and I don't regret my decision at all. I'm so grateful that I came here, because in all aspects of my life, whatever I want to do, people are here to help me, and I'm super grateful for that.
Well, best of luck. Can't wait to watch you on your journey. Go get that All-American status ×2 to go along with those Big Ten titles, and still lots more to come in a Husker uniform as well. So appreciate your time. Best of luck. It was a pleasure chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit.
Thanks so much.
All right, and again, that's Jenna Rogers with Nebraska Track and Field. Make sure you subscribe and like wherever you listen to never miss a podcast. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Jessica Coody.